Remember.
MSRP and from the vault product.
Remember.
Oh, they're adorable.
Just because we caught Diddy doesn't mean we're safe from the enthralls of terrible things on the internet. Hide your kids, hide your wife, because today I wanted to talk about From the Vault. I was recently reminded of this product, and especially because it was the original secret lair in many ways. It was the direct-to-consumer reprint product, or an alt art model that a lot of people thought would be, again, that reprint savior, because we didn't have such a thing back then. Honestly, we were begging Wizards of the Coast, and I mean, in many ways they couldn't really acknowledge like the secondary market. We had to fight them tooth and nail for Modern Masters, and Lord knows that was a terrible product. And now we don't even have reprints, we have just power creep product in the Modern Horizons 3 era. But also we do get stuff like Shocklands printed in as standard, so there are actually a lot of wins that come from failed products like From the Vault. And I wanted to bring it up today because I think a lot of us may look at it with rose tinted glasses, but there are situations where the product actually did work for some people, but it didn't work for the large majority, and I think it might be clouding some of our judgment. I think the product overall actually in a vacuum is good. It was a good product in terms of what it was designed to do, but in terms of implementation it kind of failed. It was one of the single worst Magic the Gathering products out there in my opinion, and the only reason no one's talking about it now is because it's really just old news. But I think we can learn from it, especially it being probably one of the primary drivers as to why MSRP is no longer a thing with Magic product, where we see our Commander product and many other supplementary pieces just be exorbitantly priced, and LGS is selling them for billions and billions of dollars. And of course the corporate overlords are happy because then those LGSs get more Magic people in, we can get those LGSs more product and they make more money, and the capitalism continues. But in many ways, it also is the representation of product that really only works to whales, people that spend a lot of money in the game. And as someone who started playing the game in 2013, I wasn't one that was necessarily the target market for something like this, but I want to walk through it whole and whole here. So let's break it down from a description of From the Vault and talk about some of the issues that this product had, and maybe just find some extrapolations as to where we can look forward to, especially in terms of how secret layers are handled right now, and especially with product moving forward. So here's an image of From the Vault returning from exile. It has cards like Rancor in it. We see Trinisphere, Sensei's Divining Top, Gifts Ungiven, Necropotence. Like, it really was a slew of cards. Like, it was like 15 cards, I believe, in every single one, and they had a different theme to them. But the problem was its price and its availability, because there was an MSRP set out for products like this. But as you can tell, based on the card prices of these ones revealed right now, what do you think Trinisphere was worth back then? What do you think Gifts Ungiven and Lotus Petals, Sensei's Divining Top was worth back then? But this was like in a time when Commander wasn't the forefront of Magic the Gathering. Reprints weren't a thing. It was a very rare piece to even get a reprint. Half the time, like, you got a reprint of a rare at Mythic, and then the rare slot was taken up by Comet Storm. Like, this wasn't the current era of, again, as I was mentioning, printing Shocklands into standard. A lot of these products had in a design to be that type of reprint, to be like an instant collection, a collector's item, but also the foiling in that case was also problematic based on the different style of foiling to, I imagine, just mass produce these or whatever. But in many ways, you were paying so much money for even just the extra packaging. I mean, the product itself, each box set contained 15 tournament legal cards, black bordered notably, so no white border or acorn stuff at this point. Holographic foils with a common theme, aside from From the Vault 20, which contained 20 cards. Some of these cards featured like new alt art and everything. The problem here is that the MSRP for these sets was $39.95. These sets were frequently demanded at a higher price due to low availability and high demand. The series was created by senior brand director Mark Purvis. It was discontinued in 2018, very close to the pandemic. It feels like many things changed right after that, but being replaced by the Signature Spellbook series. Now, the Signature Spellbook series as a product was also a failure, but it felt like a giant Gaslight. And I think in many ways, I'm kind of upset with where that went, because I think like thematically and in terms of design of the cards, it was really cool to see certain spells be kind of matched up with like Jace and Chandra and all that stuff. But it was also really upsetting because like the product didn't do well because they didn't put good cards into it, right? It was at a time again where like slowly MSRP was being like pulled out. They couldn't put like high value cards in there because Wizards like can never directly acknowledge the secondary market, but they can't like put out product that would like inherently drop all the prices of cards, because then they wouldn't be able to sell anything, because there is a balance to be had. And I just want to like give out my stance here. I understand that Wizards of the Coast needs to make money to support the game that we're all playing. It is a luxury hobby at the end of the day, but I also agree that the card prices shouldn't be exorbitant either. They should be affordable. They should be accessible to a good portion of the community, which it isn't. I'd be very hard pressed to recommend the modern format, which I know and love and have played for so many years, to the average player now. Heck, even Pioneer and God forbid like Legacy and beyond are becoming really inaccessible formats, which is why something like Commander is actually really accessible, especially now with the better design of precons. A lot of people would agree that a precon can be like generally a 6 power level. The mana bases are pretty good. The staples in there are really solid. Like you can get off to a really solid start and upgrade a couple of things for maybe like 30 to 40 bucks and you're at a really good deck. And that you can't do with Constructed. And with that, you had a lot of these cards that were tournament legal. Blackboard and at the time were more focused on Constructed, and a lot of these cards were just priced out because they were alt arts there where the foils were poorly designed, but also the prices of them didn't drop because of the lack of availability. So as this article mentions, low availability and high demand. So if Wizards of the Coast gave enough product to stores to sell this, then the price of this would actually drop. But it wasn't mass printed like a normal standard set. This was printed as a premium product where a lot of smaller stores maybe got 1 to 2 copies. A lot of bigger stores maybe got a couple more, maybe like 4 or 5. In a lot of cases, there are situations out there in the wild where folks have talked about maybe playing certain standard store championships or like FNMs or something where the winner did get a From the Vault card or maybe a product. But those stores and those stories are maybe a lot rarer because in a lot of ways, the prices of these were extremely high. You have to understand that the cards being printed in these sets were so high value at the time that it made no sense to sell them at 40 bucks USD. It was more profitable for the store to get these as a product, open the product, put it in their display case or their trade binder and sell it from there. I mean, just take a look at this. Like if we go to this kind of next article, all this is going to be kind of linked down below. But if we go to like From the Vault Dragons, the sealed value was $200, but the single value was $129. That's absolutely insane. I mean, look at From the Vault Exiled, $440 sealed value. That's absolutely like astronomical, like compared to $40. That's a 10 times price increase. Like, why would I sell this as a store for $40? Right? And like, you know, there's that whole idea of like, oh, don't fall for capitalism. Like y'all are on cope. Okay, the capitalistic systems can only be broken down from bottom up or top down, right? Like it's really this type. The LGS they're in the middle. They ain't stopping nothing, because if y'all don't understand basic economics, if one store was to sell this at 40 and another store was to sell this at like 80 to 100, it's actually better for the store to sell it at 80, 100 to go to the store that's selling it for 40, send an employee over there, buy that product, bring it back to their store, and then sell both products, the one that they have and the one they bought from the store, from 80 to 100. That is just how this works. It's unfortunate that that's how our system works, but it is just the correct thing to do for that business. Yes, that one business got 40 bucks, but they missed out on a ton of money. And now this other store is going to be able to sell this product because of demand and low availability, but they're going to be able to sell it at double the markup. They're going to be able to make double the money and have more resources available to buy more magic product, more cards, offer more rewards, etc. So it was just the correct thing to do to sell it at a higher price. It wasn't great for the consumer, but it was great for the business. And that's the unfortunate thing at a time, even when MSRP was available, a lot of these products in the wild, especially if you were looking on eBay and everything, were sold at super high prices, because otherwise it would just be better for the average person to open up the product and upsell the single, sell them at value, whatever it might be, instead of just selling the product at $40. So in general, this was like the old, like the grandfather of the secret lair system, where the secret lair system is now direct from Wizards. It's directly card singles that are themed. In many ways, a lot of them are alt arts or foils or different copies of those cards, and you don't need to get them, right? Like again, at a time now, especially where reprints are more common, a lot of these are alt arts, and people have had discussions around how the original printing of arts may actually just be more valuable than these alt arts, because cards have so many different alternate printings, different types of foils, and like full art versus just bordered. Like there's so many different ways that that cards exist now, especially with the collector booster packs, that it might just be more premium just to own the base copy. But this, again, From the Vault was from a different time where the prices of these cards just made it extremely unavailable. And I'm happy that a product like this isn't around anymore because the implementation of it is so poor. But and again, in a way, as I was talking to with the spellbook, it felt like we're just being kind of gaslit, where like a product like this could come back. They could offer it at a lower price. They could print it more because it doesn't cost them to print anything. This is just cardboard. It's just paper. It doesn't cost them anything to actually like print the product like that. But then they'll upcharge it to like $200. I mean, look at what they did with like the Magic Anniversary 30. Right, where they were selling us like printed proxies of like Power 9 that were like not tournament legal because like you couldn't make it thanks to like the reserve list printing law rules and everything. So like, why am I buying proxies for like hundreds of dollars, right? Like, and there's already discussions around like buying proxies versus proxying a card, right? Like altering and all that stuff. Like, that's not what I'm here to get into. Again, this is just a discussion around the From the Vault product. And then even around the foiling, this specific thread from MTG Salvation talking about the foiling process and From the Vault and how this person wanted to kind of pick things up. But the foiling process was so bad that these were the original Pringles. These were the cards originally that would just curl automatically if you didn't put them in a humidor, kind of stamped them down and on top of like 5 books and like keep them in like a humid environment or whatever it was, whatever your method is to uncurl cards. If you didn't do it, the From the Vault foils would be super curled. And that's why you have situations like this with Ulamog the Infinite Gyre, where the From the Vault foil 4426, if I move my camera here, 4426, you can get the Double Masters regular printing at the same price almost. Heck, the Double Masters printing of it with the alt art is worth more. I mean, that's an alt art. This is a cool border from the Double Masters. But like, again, like there's like the regular version from Ultimate Masters costs more than the From the Vault printing. Again, it's because of the quality, the bad quality of these foils. So not only was it an overpriced product and non-available product, didn't follow MSRP, and also just in the secondary market going crazy, but also once you got a copy of them, if you wanted to play with these cards, heck, even in your commander decks, again, in a format that maybe wasn't as popular at the time, the cards themselves weren't even really playable. Like a lot of commander players at the time weren't taking the game like that seriously. How many commander players out there at the time, if you remember you were playing at the time, were double sleeving their decks? They weren't. And if you weren't double sleeving them into like hard matte inners and everything, like how were you preventing this from curling? Right? Like you would just be able to like kind of see where your Ulamog was in your deck. Lord knows these weren't tournament legal because at that point the curling was so advanced that you definitely could not play these in any sense of the word in like high level tournament. Maybe you could get away with that in LGS where like the owner is the judge and they're not really paying attention. But again, the From the Vault product was an absolute failure, and they did find a way with the secret layer model to ultimately like bring it back. But in many ways, it's kind of unfortunate to see that a direct to consumer model of a product was failed because we were just kind of gaslit into believing that it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work, and it can't work in this implementation. But you need to print more copies of it. Heck, if you printed these cards directly thematically without foils and just made them direct printings, what if you made them alt arts? Like, I guess if you made them like the original arts, and people would be like, okay, you're just directly printing reprints from Wizards of the Coast instead of putting them into a standard set. Okay, make them alt arts, give them a better foiling process, and make it a wider variety. That's how it would be kind of the tin process that we have in like anime card games like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon and stuff. But maybe that might also drown consumer confidence, because a lot of these whales like want to buy these cards and collect them and everything. And I get it. Collectability needs to be at an all-time high. This is a collectible and a trading card game as well, on top of being played. But again, accessibility needs to be king. You need to have casuals coming in, you need to have casuals staying, and you need to be able to have them affording cards. Unfortunately, right now that model is around playing Commander, and it's not around playing Constructed, where a lot of these cards are maybe priced out, especially what a lot of people would consider the more fun formats like Modern. A lot of people would consider Legacy as well. I think a lot of people would enjoy Modern, Legacy, heck, even Vintage, if they were able to afford to play it. Even in Magic Online, where Legacy and Vintage are pretty much primarily housed, there are events in person with Legacy, but again, not largely casual accessible unless you go to an LGS that's big and people are able to kind of let you borrow decks. A lot of these formats that are really fun aren't accessible because of card prices like this, and we aren't able to get direct reprintings because Wizards of the Coast is not able to directly acknowledge the secondary market, but they also need to keep its value up for quote unquote consumer confidence. But I think the problem that a lot of people don't understand is that, look, it is a luxury hobby. I see a lot of times people post about like situations that go on in their personal lives, and then they're like, oh, I need to sell magic cards to like come up with this, selling these to deal with a personal emergency. And then it's just like, you know, look, I get it. People got their own things going on, but you need to, like, you as a fellow Magic the Gathering player need to look at some of your friends and need to help them like make better financial decisions, because we're at a point in the world where, like, look, capitalism got everyone down. It's really unfortunate. And look, Lord knows I don't want to sit here working the rest of my life. I'm with you. I'm here to take capitalism down. But when it comes to something like Magic product, there are certain like decisions you can make, like not buying excessive amounts of product if you don't have the capital for it, and work to save for your own personal finances instead of buying product like this. We don't need product like this to return in implementations like this for whales and wizards to buy and Wizards of the Coast to take advantage of people that like can't deal with their gambling addiction, right? Like, we need to better manage the way we work with Magic the Gathering and products like this, including secret layers, including these one-off drops, because the FOMO of it all is kind of ruining our place in the game. It's taking away from the play, it's taking away from the gathering, and it's honestly just destroying the magic of it all. And that's really what my primary message is. Yes, the From the Vault product failed, but it failed in its implementation, not in its design. Right? It was designed, I imagine, with good intentions, but it was implemented by Corpa to ultimately fail. We now have the secret layer model. And again, in so many ways, these products and the evolution of them, the kind of amount of legendaries we have, the amount of products we have, are really here to prey on people that can't make good decisions and can't like separate themselves from the FOMO of it all. And it's really unfortunate. I don't want to continue to go on Twitter and hear about stories about how people had like car problems and now they got to sell magic cards to deal with that. Like, that's really crappy, right? Like, I hope you would choose to maybe spend your resources and time to look for employment or look for a better situation, support your family and friends that are maybe struggling as well, instead of like buying a foil. Like, instead of foiling out your deck and alt-arting your commander deck or your modern deck, like maybe spend that money towards like better resources for yourself, like better resources for your friends and family. Again, I understand everyone's situation is different. I just want to shout to maybe the one person that this may help, that products like this ultimately fail because Wizards of the Coast doesn't have your best interest at heart when it comes to corporations. The design team may do so. They have the best the research and design side may have the best intentions to get you to play the game and enjoy the game. But when it comes to the corporate money making side of things, they want products like this to succeed the most, or they want it to fail in a way that gaslights us into thinking that we can never get something better. And that's what's really unfortunate. So that's where I ultimately leave this from the Vault discussion. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Did you enjoy the From the Vault product? Were you lucky enough to be in a place where maybe you got access to this product at MSRP, or were you priced out of it at large? Let me know how you feel in the comment section down below. And I hope you'll understand. Again, I may have made some comments about capitalism, but honestly, burn it all, eat the rich. I'm all here for it. Because look, at the end of the day, I don't want to sit here and have all of us exploiting each other be the actual correct thing to do.